welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where the rotters that be have given me a liar puzzle today. This is called Liar Spiral by Niverio. It's got a 100% rating on Logic Masters Germany. People are raving about this puzzle. Apparently it is absolutely brilliant. But I have to tell you that lying puzzles, they fill me with the fear of the Roggen. This is all your fault, Demono and others. This has got one of the longest rule sets you could possibly imagine, but it's actually a really simple rule set if you're used to variant Sudoku, because effectively every clue in this puzzle is a normal rule, but each type of clue has one liar. So I think what that means is if we find all the X's in the puzzle, so I'll probably miss one or two of them, but there's one up there. Can't see any others. There might be one I'm missing there, but effectively of these 5 X's, 4 of them have to be correct. 1 of them has to be a liar. That's effectively how the rules work. Now hang on a sec. I've just got to get rid of it. I've got an advert on a page flashing behind me, so that's now hopefully gone away, and we can get on without me being regaled by offers to buy BMWs. Let us now. Well, what do I need to do before I read you the rules of this one? Formally, at least, I need to say happy birthday. Happy birthday to somebody in Hamburg today, turning the grand old age of 31. So Lorenzo, I think your nickname is Hans. Your friend Peppo from Turin was in touch with us and said that he used to love solving the puzzles on Cracking the Cryptic with you, and then you've moved away to Hamburg, and now I think you have to sort of communicate remotely about such things, and he thought you might appreciate a shout out, so we're very happy to do it. I hope you have a brilliant birthday with massive amounts of cake. Other than that, we've got more correct entries to the doctoral pack of Sudokus over on Patreon at the moment, and this is the last day to get your entries in, so by the time this video goes live, the deadline will really have passed. Now, we do tend to be a bit generous about deadlines, so just make sure you get your entries in really soon if you want to be in with a chance of winning a Burberry's Yuki in the competitions. So, but well done to Matthew Hambecker. I'm saying that right. Could be Hambetcher. Andy Mitz, to Magnus and Catherine from Denmark. I suspect it's not that Magnus, but it might be. Andrew Houchin and Mia Freiberg. You have all successfully acquired your doctorates in Sudoku solving, frankly, but very well done. It is a mean feat to get through all those puzzles. And remember, if you did struggle with any of those puzzles, we are going to be releasing video solves of all of the puzzles from those packs in the coming days over on Patreon, so do check that out. Other than that, I don't think I've got anything else to tell you. So why don't we just kick straight into this, and I will read you the rather long and copious rules, but they are fairly simple today. So what's Niverio got in store for us? We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. Each of the following clue types has exactly one liar in the puzzle. So digits along an arrow sum to the digit in that arrow circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rules as if they're true. So if they were true, these 3 digits, let's make them 1, 2 and 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals, you've guessed it, 6. So this would be a correct arrow clue. But obviously, I think there are 4 arrow clues in this puzzle. One of these arrow clues has to be telling fibs. Now, next. Adjacent digits separated by a black dot have a ratio of 1 to 2. So if this black dot was a true clue, one of these digits would be double the other one. That's all that's saying. Ratio mumbo jumbo just means one of them is double the other. Cells with a grey square contain even digits. So we've got a few of those dotted around, and if they were true, they'd have an even digit in them. Adjacent digits along a green line have a difference of at least 5. So we've only got 2 green lines. That's quite interesting. Actually, that is very interesting. But that's more. We'll think about that in a moment. But what this means is, let's imagine this was a 1. Now this cell would have to be at least 5 different from 1. So it would have to be 6, 7, 8, or 9. If we imagine it's a 9, the next digit would have to be at least 5 different from 9. So it would have to be 4, 3, or 2. It can't be 1 by sudoku, but otherwise it could be. So that's how there's a sort of oscillating polarity principle going on along green lines, if you know what I mean, and you follow the Big Bang Theory. You'll think that would be a very good title for a show. Anyway, next clue. We've got clues outside the grid indicate the digit which has to be placed in the nth cell in the corresponding direction, where n is the digit placed in the first cell in that direction. Oh, good grief. Right, this is numbered rooms, isn't it? Okay, so, right, this is the first complicated rule, I would argue, because we haven't done many numbered room puzzles on the channel. And what this is saying is that if this one clue was correct, let's imagine that was an 8, that would be saying that we have to place the digit 1, and then you look in this cell for where to place it, and it's got 8 in it, so we'd have to go up 8 cells here, and we put the 1 in there. So this would be a correct numbered rooms clue. If that was a 3, then you would count 3, and you put the 1 in there. So that's how it works. Now, what we're being told, I think, is that 2 of these ones are correct, and one of them is a naughty, naughty liar. Now, cells... Oh, I'm trying to find my place in the rules. Hang on. Cells with a grey circle contain odd digits. So there are, to say there are 4 of those. They look like they're sort of paired up with the even digits, don't they? It is a very beautiful setup, actually. It's incredibly symmetric, which, given it's a liar puzzle, must be very hard to achieve. Digits in a white circle must appear in at least one of the 4 surrounding cells. For this clue type to be correct, all digits in the circle must satisfy this condition. Right, so what that's saying is that within these, if this was a correct quadruple clue, see the 6 and 8 inside the circle, then there would have to be a 6 and an 8 somewhere, or possibly more than one 6. You could do something like this, couldn't you? You could have 2 6s and an 8, that's absolutely fine. But there has to be at least one 6 and at least one 8 in the surrounding 2 by 2. Now, I think what it's also saying here is, let's imagine in the finished grid we found there was a 6 here, but there was no 8 in these cells. Then this clue should be considered a liar, because there should be a 6 and an 8 in this 2 by 2, and there wouldn't be. So that's how I interpret that rule anyway. Now, cells along a purple line must be a set of consecutive digits. So we've got four purple lines, I think. So imagine this was a 1, then these would have to be 2 and 3 to ensure they're consecutive. They don't have to be in order. You can meddle around with the order, but they do have to be consecutive. And we're about halfway through the rules now. No, we're not. We're more than halfway. Digits along a thermometer must increase from the bulb end. And you can see they're all standard rules as well. So this thermometer, if it's correct, if that was a 1, that could be a 3, that could be a 7. Because as mercury would rise, as the temperature increased, so must our digits increase as we rise along a thermometer. So that would be a correct thermometer. Now, next, cells separated by a V must contain digits summing to 5. We've got 2 V clues only. So if these were correct, these could be something like that. 1 plus 4 equals 5. Sorry, I got distracted in my brain there because I was thinking that the clues we've only got 2 of might be interesting as places to start. But anyway, that's getting onto solving. Brain, stop doing solving and do more reading. Cells connected by a white dot have to contain consecutive digits. So we have got, I want to say we've got 3 dominoes of that. I can see 3, there might be more. But imagine this was a 1, then this cell would have to be a 2 to be consecutive with 1. That's how white dots work. And cells separated by an X must contain digits summing to 10. So imagine this was a 1, this if it was a correct clue would have to be a 9. 1 plus 9 equals 10. And that's all the rules. So all we've got to do is to remember that in each clue, for each clue type, one of the clues is lying. And now what I forgot to check is how difficult this puzzle is. I'm guessing it's monstrously hard. I might be wrong about that, but it feels like it's going to be monstrously hard because liar puzzles almost always are. But do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking, and I'm either going to think about these two V's or I'm going to think about these two green lines, I think, because they seem to be the only... Well, actually, no, I've just noticed I've got two black dots as well, so maybe black dots as well might be interesting, but it feels like the green whispers lines are the place to start, because at least they overlap entirely with another clue. So we've got broken arrows, haven't we? Well, no, we haven't. No, we've got one... Oh, goodness. Right, I'm already getting confused about this. So one of these green lines is not really a green line. And one of them is, though, a green line. And I'm going to allege that the one that is a real green line would break its arrow. And that's because of the oscillating polarity principle, because there are two secrets you have to know about green lines in Sudoku puzzles. The first of those secrets is you can never put a 5 on the line, and that's because the next digit on the line will become impossible immediately, because it has to be 5 different from 5. And if you go low, you've got 0 or negative. If you go high, you've got 10 or higher. And none of those are valid Sudoku digits. So you can't put 5 on the line, and then that means that you can basically, if this was a low digit, i.e. a digit less than 5, the next digit on the line has to be a high digit, because it has to be 5 different, so it flips the other side of the 5. And that principle, that oscillating polarity principle, just continues along the line. But that means that this line has to have a high digit on it, and by high digit I mean a 6 or higher. Now, what we clearly cannot do, it's very clear that this would break the line. If we had 2 high digits in these positions, you'd have 6 plus 7 as a minimum, and this would be at least a 14. That's definitely too high. So we have to put, because we're oscillating polarities, we need to put the high digit in the middle of this line so it just appears once. And what we can't do is put 6 in the middle of it, because that would have to be surrounded by double 1, because we need a valid Sudoku digit that's 5 away from 6. So that doesn't work, and that means you've got to put 7 in the middle of a 3-cell arrow, and you can't do that in Sudoku, because no matter how small I make these two digits, because they have to be different, we will acquire the sum of 10 for our circle. So what we are now saying is that we already know one of the green lines is broken, but whichever green line is correct is breaking the arrow, the arrow it's on. So this is right. Okay, so if one of these arrows is wrong, and it is, those 2 arrows are presumably correct, and that means that those 2 cells have to be at least equal to 6, because if these are correct circles, they are the sum of those 3 digits, and the minimum I could make those digits would be a 1, 2, 3 triple. So now I've got pencil marks in the grid, and what I've got problems with, though, is how on earth do you keep track of the lying naughtinesses that are going to be present in the grid? Because now what I really want to do is to say that one of these is a lying whisper line, and one of them is a lying arrow line. How on earth am I going to represent that in the puzzle? And these are both real. I don't know. Now, presumably what we now look at, though, is the Renban lines that these arrows have attaching to them. Renban is these purple lines here, because if this Renban line was true, if this purple line was a true clue, it would contain consecutive digits, which would mean it would either be 1, 2, 3 or 2, 3, 4, and this would either be 6 or 9. Nothing else would work, because if we went to 3, 4, 5. 3, 4 and 5 add up to 12. And that won't work. So what we've got to do... Well, no, that's not good, is it? That's not good. Because knowing that these are true, they still have 2 valid options in each case for a correct purple line. So I'm not getting incorrectness. And that's what this puzzle feels already like it's about. It's about finding contradiction in sort of rectitude, isn't it? We want to... Okay, so what is this telling me? This is telling me that... Well, actually, I've just had another interesting thought. If this is... Yeah, if you're all thinking, gosh, I don't want to speak to him at a dinner party, you're quite right. Some of my interesting thoughts, some other people do not think are interesting at all. Like when I had the idea of coming up with toast booths in the City of London. No, the venture capitalists weren't swarming all over me about that. Now, if this is a 6, this has to be a 1, 2, 3 triple. And then this X would have to be 4, 6. If it's correct. Yeah, okay, so if that was a 6, it would force the Renban to be correct as well, by being a 1, 2, 3 triple, which is sort of a bit interesting. Oh, if that was a 6, that V would be wrong. If that was a 7, the V would be wrong. Got it. The V's wrong. Oh, this is really clever. Right. Okay, so actually the simplest way of seeing this is to say if that V is correct, those 2 digits add up to 5. What's the maximum those 3 digits can add up to? Well, it's 9. Now that would mean that if this V is correct, those 5 digits sum up to a maximum of 14. But 5 digits in the same column cannot add up to less than 15 because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 15. So there's no way this is correct. So how on earth? Well, the thing is that... Oh, so that one's correct. Oh, good grief. Right, okay. So now I think we are going to have to resort to some sort of way of notating this. So maybe I'll mark bad clues with red or something. I'll make that red. And maybe good clues with yellow. I might... Oh, red, yellow colourblind, though. People don't like that. Or is it, no, it's red-green colourblind, I think people really don't like. I'll risk yellow. So this... Right, now hang on. This... Oh, this is where it gets really difficult, because what I want to do now is to notate that this arrow clue is correct, but if I do that, I'm going to think that Renban is correct. I'll label the circle as yellow. I will label that circle as yellow. I've got an ink, right, okay, so it must be this V I have to look at now, mustn't it? Because that now is 1, 2, 3 or 4. These cells, they're either a 1, 4 pair or a 2, 3 pair. Now, that is going to put some pressure on this. If that's a correct whisper, then, well, and these were the low digits, that would break the X here, because there would be, all the low digits would have gone. But if this is a correct whisper and this is the low digit, then you could perhaps have a low... Well, you would have to have one low digit on here if it was correct. Okay, so maybe that's not the thought I'm meant to be having. Naughty brain, have a different thought. Right, hang on, sorry, let me just think about this. So I've learnt that one of these is wrong. One of these is correct. Oh, for goodness sake. Right. Right. Okay. We just did a whole load of logic in which I worked out that those 5 cells there could not be a correct V and a 3-cell arrow. Well, I'm just going to reapply that logic now in row 9, and forgive me for being an absolute what's-it, because this is now a correct V, so how could that be a correct arrow? Well, it can't be, because then these cells would have to add up to 15, and therefore this at least, and this cell would have to be at least a 10, and that doesn't work from the point of view of maths. So this is an incorrect arrow, which I will make the circle then red, because I want to say that the whisper, is now correct, isn't it? Because didn't we work out these were a pair of sort of incorrect, correct? If this is an incorrect arrow, this is a correct arrow. And if this is a correct arrow, you can't make the whisper work. So this whisper is incorrect. And that's actually, that does show up for me. I appreciate that some people may not like this, but I don't fancy solving this without having some way of notating this correct and incorrect stuff. Now this is now correct and is yellow. So this is an incorrect arrow with a correct whisper. And this is an incorrect whisper with a correct arrow. And that's very important for the following reason. Come on, brain. Think of the reason. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I knocked the microphone. I really want to... I'm finding that actually I don't find this notation that helpful either. As I'm looking at this yellow arrow, I keep thinking it's correct, and I'm like, well, we've got to have loads of low numbers on it. This is a correct arrow. So that's got to be a 6, 7, 8, or 9. Right, okay. So that's a useful deduction. And that means, again, if this is low digits, so if this is 6, that's 1, 2, 3, that is putting pressure on this X again, isn't it? Okay, so this is why it's called spiral, is it? Because we're sort of working around the grid to start with. And then presumably we make our way into the grid, ending up in the middle box or something. It's very clever. It really is. It's a lovely idea. I'm just a bit annoyed that it's bamboozling me at the moment. So this is a correct whisper. So if it was low digits here, that would incorrectify this X, which would correctify all of the other X's. So if all of the other X's were correct, we'd have a correct X here overlapping with a possible Renban, which is tricky to do actually. You can do it. If that X is correct and the Renban is correct, you have to do 4, 6 with a 5, because anything else is too far apart. If you go 3, 7, there's no digit I can put here that's going to make these 3 cells consecutive. You can't make that simultaneously 4, 5 and 6, no matter how quickly I type on the keyboard. So this would have to be 4, 6, this would have to be 5. What about... This is correct. So this is... so again, every time we've got this sort of... I think there is pressure on all of these X's in the perimeter. especially when they're being looked at by a real arrow. Again, if this is 6, that has to be 1, 2. Oh, in fact, that's got Renban on it as well. So if that's 6, that's 1, 2, 3. That would have to be 4, 6 if it's correct. I'm not really seeing. How to do this, if I'm honest. I don't think I've. If these were both correct, you'd have to put 8. Well, you couldn't put 8 in any of those cells because of you couldn't have more than 2 8s in row 3 and 4 combined. Now you've got the same thing going on in these cells with 3s, but if you look in the columns, look, there's no overlap, which is a bit surprising. Ah, okay. Where'd you put 5 in the bottom row? Well, I can't put 5 on a real whisper line. I can't put 5 in an X, so I've got to put it here. And that means that this. Oh, hang on. Oh no, I'm wrong. The X could be an incorrect X, and then I could put a 5 on it. Oh, bobbins. Right, so 5 in the bottom row is either on an incorrect X, or it's on a Renban. No, or it's on a line. Well, this is doing my head in. Right, okay. Or it's on a possible Renban. So 5 in the bottom row. I don't know whether this is a sensible pencil mark, but it's in one of these 3 cells. No, that's a horrific pencil mark. I refuse that. That's going to confuse me. But if right, so if the 5 is here, all the other X's are correct. Okay, and if the 5 is here, that Renban is then wrong, isn't it? Ah, right. Oh. Oh, hang on a moment. Let me just think about this, because that is a little bit interesting. Sorry, I realise this is when these pregnant pauses are not probably very conducive to making for entertaining video viewing. Let me just think about this for a second or two. We've got. Well, no. In fact, let me just. Let's not think about it. Let's just check that the logic of that is correct. If this is 5, this Renban is wrong, isn't it? Because it has to be consecutive digits, and the lowest consecutive digits I could make these would be a 3, 4, 5 triple, which add up to 12, and break what we know is a correct arrow clue. So 5 in the bottom row is either yielding an incorrect X or an incorrect Renban. Now, hang on a moment though. I'm just thinking, is it possible for both of those things to be incorrect? I think it is, actually. I think if this was a 5, the Renban breaks, but that's not saying anything about the X. The X could still be broken as well. Okay. No, and the thought I had before, when I first put the 5 in here, I was looking at the Renban, I was wondering whether there was an interaction between this, the sort of Renban Xiness down here, and the Renban Xiness here that we looked at a bit earlier. Because if you get an incorrect Renban here, you get a correct Renban here. And if that broke the X, you know, you'd have an interaction going on between this sort of thing and this sort of thing. But I couldn't get my head around it quick enough to make it elucidatable, which I realise is probably not a word. So if this is a 5, that Renban's broken, that Renban is correct, that Renban is, oh, that's fine for that one to be correct, that one's correct. Now if this is, no, that can be oscillating with very extreme digits, so that's not under pressure. And if this one is correct, oh, no, right, hang on, there is a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, that doesn't work. Wow, okay. Look at this Renban and think about it in the context of the X. So, if both of these clues is correct, how do you fill this Renban? You have to fill it with a 4-6 pair here, because you need 2 digits that are close together, so that you can fill the digit that's between them into this cell to make it a consecutive line. But if you make that 4, 5 and 6, you've broken the arrow. And that's because if you think about the nature of a 3-cell arrow, what are the possible digits on a 3-cell arrow? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You can't put 7 up here, because if you do, you'll definitely break this total. But if you can't put 4, 5 and 6 on it either, it has to be 1, 2, 3, which makes this a 6, and it clashes. So that means that one of these digits, well no, hang on, it means one of these clues, no, hang on, what does it mean? It means both of these clues cannot be correct. So at least one of them is wrong. But if they're both wrong, don't I then have a problem down here with 5? Ah, this is very, very clever. Right. If I know both of these can't be correct. If neither is correct, then we know all other Renbans and all other X's in the puzzle are correct, which means this is a correct clue, so cannot have a 5 on it, and this is correct and can't have a 5 in it. I can't place 5 in the bottom row. So exactly 1. This is weird. It's like an X-wing on lying, because I can't make both things either both right or both wrong, I think. So I now know exactly one of these clues is correct. And if I know exactly one of these clues is correct, then exactly one of them is incorrect. And then whichever one of these is incorrect forces a correction to its equivalent down here. So let's say the X was incorrect. Then this X would be correct. That would put the 5 here and make this Renban incorrect. Which makes that Renban correct, which is fine. Now, if on the other hand this Renban is incorrect, that makes this Renban correct, which means this can't be a 5, which puts the 5 here, which makes this X incorrect, which makes this X correct. So there's a sort of cycle going on between them, but basically in each case exactly one between the, yeah, I don't know how to explain this properly, but hopefully I've given the idea. between these two X clues, one is wrong and one is right. And between these two rem bands, one is wrong and one is right. And if that's the case, every other rem band in the puzzle and every other X in the puzzle must be correct, because there is only one liar, which means that these are all correct and they get yellowed. It means this is correct. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's going to be okay, isn't it? If I do that, then I'm saying the arrow is correct and the rem band is correct. And this rem band is correct. And I just don't know anymore about... So I know that there's a lot of sort of coordination between these, but I don't quite know how it works. So that means that... what does it mean? Right, well, it means that's a 6 or a 9, because this is now a true rem band, which means it's either 1, 2, 3 or 2, 3, 4. So this is not 7 or 8 anymore. This is a correct X as well, so that's going to... hang on. Yes, yeah, I've used all the low digits down here now. Because if this is 6, this is 1, 2, 3. And then how do we make the X work? And it's a true X, don't forget. So that's got to be 4 and 6. Whereas if this is 2, 3, 4 on the other hand, I can't put 2, 3 and 4 on the X, so it has to be 1 or 9. And then between these 5 cells, I've used all the low digits in the puzzle, which is going to make that black dot very difficult. Impossible, in fact. Right, so this black dot is now broken, because if this black dot were true, if we think about how we can form ratios of 1 to 2 between Sudoku digits, 1 and 2, 2 and 4, 3 and 6, 4 and 8 are the only options, yet each one of those options had a low digit in it, had a 1, 2, 3 or 4. And they've gone from the column. So this is broken, which means that is correct, which is already labelled as if it's correct. Oh, but that's on a correct rem band as well. So is that putting pressure on the world? And we've sort of we've gone in from our spiral as well. We've sort of been in the perimeter for a while, and now we've wended our way to the inner bit of the spiral. So let's think about this. If this is a correct consecutive sequence, so we could just do 1, 2, 3 here. Although that would put a lot of pressure on my whisper line. Terminal pressure. Oh, yeah. This is all forced. This is beautiful. Good grief, Niverio. I don't know where people come up with the ideas of this sort of nonsense. But look, how could this be a 1-2 pair? It works for its black dot. It even works for its purple line, because this would be a 3. But now our whisper down here, which must have, because of the oscillating polarity principle, it must have a low digit in these 3 cells. And that low digit, because we can't have 2 low digits, we must put the low digit in the middle, but that means that cell's a 4. You can't put a 4 in the middle of a whisper, because the flanking digits have to both be 9. So this is Roggen. And that means that this is not a 1-2 pair, which I think means it's a 2-4 pair, because we've got to have 3 consecutive digits. If we try 3-6 here, this would simultaneously have to be 4 and 5 in a very annoying way. And if we tried 4 and 8, it would have to be 5, 6 and 7 in an even more annoying way. So none of those things work. This is a 2-4. That's a 3, which is our first digit in the grid. Now, I've still got the problem of putting a low digit on here. It must go in the middle, because we can't put 2 low digits anymore. 3 of them have gone. 1 is a bit less constrained, because 1 can be next to any high digit at all. 1 is knocked off a correct V clue, so that correct V clue is now a 2-3 clue. So, do we know about that now? It could still be 4-6 perhaps, so maybe we don't know whether this is broken. Oh! No, let's use this 3. Because look, It's now not possible for both of these quadruple clues to be correct, because if they are both correct, how many 3s will I put into row 6 and row 7? There will be one there. Well, there'll be at least one there. There'll be at least one there. That's now at least 2. And there will be that one, which is 3. And you cannot put 3 3s in 2 rows of a Sudoku without breaking the rules of Sudoku. So one of these quadruple clues is wrong, which means these two are both correct, which means there is definitely an 8 around, well, an 8 and a 1 around this one, and a 6 and an 8 around this one. So now we can't put 8 into any of, oh, bobbins. You can't put 8 into any cell that I wasn't planning on putting 8 into anyway. Oh, you rotten thing. Right, okay, maybe that's not where I meant to look next. No, okay. Bottom row. Right, let's have a look at that cell in the corner then, because that can't be 1, 2 or 3, yet it's on a correct arrow. So that is 4, 5 or 6 by the logic we talked about earlier. Oh, no. Oh, that's lovely as well. That's lovely as well. I've now broken this Renban. Because how could this Renban be correct? If this Renban's correct, it has to be consecutive digits that add up to a single digit total. There is actually now only one. Once this is high, or 4, 5 or 6, there's only one way it could possibly work. And that's with 4, 3 and 2. And that's going to mean that cell has no option. So it can't be 4, 3, 2. Which means it cannot be a correct Renban, which means it gets redified as a result. Now, if this is the incorrect Renban, everything else in the puzzle, oh, it's this, right, so this is this is a correct Renban, although that's making it look like the X is correct. And I have a strong suspicion from what we did earlier that now this X is wrong. So the Renban is correct. Yeah, we can't have... Yeah, the X can't be correct as well as the Renban being correct, because then we worked out that had to be a 4, 5, 6 triple, and that broke this arrow. So now this gets redified as a result of being Roggen, and we get every X in the puzzle is now correct. So this is correct, which means it can't have 5 on it, which means 5 in the bottom row goes here, which means that, and this is not a real Renban, but this... Right, so this circle is now not 6 or 7 because there's a 5 on the arrow. So it's either 5, 1, 2 or it's 5, 1, 3. So there is definitely a 1 in this domino. There's a 1, 2, 3 triple in the box. There is... there is... Oh yeah, look, this is correct. Because it's become yellowed once that got redded, and it sees 1, 2, 3, so that's a 4, 6 pair, which means this is not 6 anymore. So we've got, okay, so we've definitely got a 7 over on the right hand side, because this can't be 7. We've got, it's so weird seeing these high digits attached to a circle, but this circle is a Roggen circle, so that's okay. This whisper is working. We've got, that can't be a 3, I've just noticed from this 3 here. In fact, there's a 2, 4 pair there, so that can't be a 2. So we've almost got this resolved. We've got a correct arrow clue up here and an incorrect whisper. And a correct Renban but an incorrect X. Ah! So we can argue that. And we've got a correct X here, which can't be 1, 9. So this is 2, 8, 3, 7 or 4, 6, all of which seem to be at least plausible at the moment. So, okay, how do I do this then? So this... Right, okay, I can rule 6 out of here, because if that's 6, that has to be a 1, 2, 3 triple, because this is a correct arrow, but then I'll need to put a low digit on here, and that'll be a 4, 6 pair, and now that cell in the corner will have no conceivable value. So that is not 6. What about 7? No, 7 is the same. This will be a 1, 2, 4 triple. And now what low digit do I put on this X domino? I have to put 3, 7 on, and that's still broken. So that doesn't work. So that's now 8 or 9. And don't forget, actually, I've also got to make sure that whatever I put on here, I don't break this Renban. So, yeah, well, forget about the Renban. This can't be 1, 3, 4 adding up to 8, because this would have to be 2, 2, 8 to add up to 10. That would be the only remaining option, and that breaks that cell. So this is either an 8 with a 1, 2, 5, or it's a 9 of some variety. Now, can I break something with 1, 2, 5? Problem with that is it gives two options for the X. It could be 3, 7 or 4, 6. And I think that the... Oh, no, the Renban hasn't... No, that's it. Right, the Renban has no option. Because 5 and 8 are too close together. There is not a sequence of 3 consecutive digits I can then put on the Renban, because 3, 4, 5 bumps into the 5, and 6, 7, 8 bumps into the 8. That's it. Right, so this is 9. This is 9, and, well, that doesn't put very much pressure on the Renban, but there's probably still pressure on... Oh, yeah, look. Yeah, okay, well, this is not 2, 3, 4 now, for the same reasons we've been looking at. This is 2, 3, 4. That's 1, 9, and that breaks this cell, so it's not 2, 3, 4, which means there is a 1 on this arrow. It's either 1, 2, 6 or 1, 3, 5. This is not the 1, because there's a 1 looking at it. So this is either 1, 3, 5 or 1, 2, 6. Now, if I was a betting man, what would I would bet 1, 3, 5 is more likely to work, because it's not putting any pressure on this X domino. And it also works from the point of view of the Renban, I think. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 would go here. Oh, I was wondering if the quadruple clues were breaking that, but I don't think they are. 6, 7, 8, 2, 4. Okay. Oh, no, that doesn't work, I don't think. That's very complicated. Two, 1. It's so complicated, I'm not even sure that what I'm saying is correct, actually. Let me just... I don't like doing something I can't foresee, because it feels a bit bifurcated. Let me just think about this for a second or two. If this is 1, 3, 5, this has to be a 1 or a 3, doesn't it? Because it sees 5 in its column. So I get a 1, 3 pair here. That means this cell has to be a 2, which means it has to go with 1 here to keep this down. So in the column now, I've used up a 1, 2, 3 triple. Okay, no, an easier way of seeing it is to think about 8. Oh, in fact, that's it. That's the simple right. Right, ignore all of my nonsenses. This is the way. Yeah, in fact, let's just forget about... I think we can almost forget about the 1, 3, 5-ness. And this is going to be smoother. Oh, this is gorgeous. Yeah, okay, Niverio. That's very clever. Right. Once you get this as a 9, then the correct question is, where does 8 go in this column? Because remember, we proved that these quadruple clues were correct, so 8 can't go here. 8 can't go on a 3-cell arrow. So 8 has to go on the X, which means that is a 2-8 pair because it's correct. And if this is a 2-8 pair, that's a 1, and that's a 3, and that's a 9. And now all of a sudden, I feel like this digit is under massive pressure. That might be proved to be wrong, but I think it's going to be, isn't it? Well, yes, okay. We actually know what this is because we can consider the options for 9 in this sum now. We know it's not 2, 3, 4. We already disproved that because of this domino and this cell. It now can't be 1, 3, 5 because that's 1, 3, 5. So this has to be 1, 2, 6, and it sees, so that cell's a 6 in the corner. This is a 1, 2 pair. Now this, oh, this is lovely. This is spirally as well. So now this is a 3, 7 because it hasn't got the option of being 1, 9, 2, 8 or 4, 6. So that cell now has to be a 4 in the corner, which means this is, and this is on a correct rem band, so this has to be 2, 3, 4, which means it's adding up to 9, which means these squares have got to be 5 and 8, and that looks like it's going to have some sort of interaction here, doesn't it? Yeah, well, it does. It knocks 8 out of here, or we'd have a third 8 in these two columns, because we know there's an 8 there, and we know there's an 8 there, so that can't be 8. If this is 4, 2, 3, this is not 4, 6 anymore, so this is 1, 9. That knocks 9 out of here. 9 here knocks 9 out of there. That's 7, that's 8. So these squares to complete this box are now 5, 6, and 9. And we can probably do better than that. This is therefore 5, 6, or 9. Oh no, hang on, that's wrong. Ignore me. That's not 5, 6, or 9, there's a 9 here. So 9 goes there. That becomes a 5, 6 pair, and that cell is something quite different. That's a 7, in fact, to make this column have all the digits it needs to have. So 9 is now in one of these 3 cells by Sudoku. 3 is in one of those cells. And I've still not done my rem band up here, which can work. I was suddenly thinking, 7, 8 doesn't work, but that what three cell consecutive sequence does work is 3, 4, 5. That's the only way that will work. So this is 3, 4, 5, which feels like it must be resolved somehow, but I can't see how. Those two squares are a 7, 8 pair to complete box 1. There's an 8 looking up here, so this is 7, this is 8. Oh, look at that. Okay, so that gets us the 8 that we needed in and around this 6, 8 quadruple clue. But we don't know. Okay, we don't know if it has a second 8. If it did have a second 8, it would have to be there. Oh no, it can't have a second 8 because we know there's an 8 round here. So there is actually only one 8 around this because we know that these two clues are true. So there's no 8 now up here. So there's an 8 in one of these two cells. Oh, and if it was there, it would be on an odd cell, and that would be the wrong or the lying odd circle. Good grief. Okay, what about that digit? That's a 4 by Sudoku of all things. Can't really complain that Niverio's making me do Sudoku after 55 minutes. Now, what do we do now then? We argue about the nature of... I've actually done a few clues here. Numbered rooms clue. That clue is correct because it's a 1, and from a numbered rooms perspective, it's pointing at itself. And it is a 1, so that's correct. If this was correct, I'd have to put a 1 in either this cell or this cell. That might be possible. And if this is correct, you've got to put a 1 there, which of course it looks like it's going to be. So that's annoying. I don't think, therefore, we know quite what's going on there. Let's instead turn our attention to Where is it that I'm meant to look now? Let's think about it from a spiral perspective. What about... Right, okay, that's a good idea, because that is a 5/8 pair that's on a white dot. That's most certainly a lie, therefore, which means this one and this one are both true. Which is... Oh, that's gorgeous down here. Because if you think about the nature of a white dot, it's got to have an odd and an even digit on it. Now 1, 3, 5 and 9 are not available to go on that one, so that has to have a 7 on it, which means it's either 6, 7 or it's 7, 8. And I'm pausing there because I'm expecting myself to know which way round that goes, or to be able to do something with that knowledge. Oh, there's a 3 there, that's a 2. So that's a 3. We've got some sudoku to do, 3s and 7s. 3 is now in one of those 3 cells in box 5. 2 is... Ah! Ooh, lovely! That was not what I was expecting. But that's very welcome, because now this cell is not a 1 on the numbered rooms clue. So this is a lying clue. I don't really have a good way of showing that. How should I show that? Can I put a cross in the square or something? I'm going to put a cross in the square to indicate that the numbered room clue is wrong. Now that means that these 2 numbered room clues are correct, which means that I've got to put a 1 in one of those 2 cells. So I count 4 to here or 6 to here. Now that means that's not a 1. Look, this is not a 1 either because of this 1, 9 pair. So there is a 1 in one of those 2 cells. Somehow that doesn't appear to be resolved, although I can see if this was a 1 it would be quite potent for our even digits. Bother. Okay. So how is that important? That feels like it's very deliberate, doesn't it? As a construct, you know, it's been very forced that we put 1s in here. It's knocking 1 out of here. Yes, okay. Oh, that's lovely. Right, so this quadruple clue is wrong because it can't have a 1 on it anymore. This one knocks out that. That one knocks out that. This one's knock out this. So this is a lying clue. I've got no idea how to show that because it's the centre of this. I don't think it'll let me... no, it won't let me do that. Can I draw? Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, Sven has introduced recently the ability to do diagonal lines. So I'm going to draw a cross through this quadruple clue to indicate that it is absolute nonsense. But that means this one is correct, doesn't it? So that means that I've got to put... Oh yeah, that's lovely. Right. What I really admire about this, by the way, is that every time you get something, it's really interesting what happens. So this is a 4-6 pair. This has become a correct quadruple clue. So the 6 can't go there. The 6 doesn't seem to be able to go there. So the 6 has to go in one of these. And the same is true of the 3. So that is a 3-6 pair. Bobbins. Okay, I don't think that does anything. Might be wrong. Do I know? I know there's a 1 around this one. Do I know more than that? Probably, but I'm not sure how I figure it out. Starting to get very awkward with all these pencil marks as well. I'm sort of pencil marking across boxes in places, and I'm being generally very willy-nilly with my application of marks to the grid. Anyway, what do we do now? We shall argue about... Do I know... I don't know what to do. This is a German whisper, isn't it? And that's okay, that's working. This is a nonsense circle, and nonsense circles should be ignored. So as we're just about to tick over the hour, I have made progress though. It's not the most abominable solve ever, probably. I've definitely got a real white dot here. Oh, I tell you, that's interesting. I've got to have 7 on this thermo. That's going to be it. Ah, that doesn't work. Right. Well, you know, what I mean is this thermo is a liar, because I've got to put 7 in one of these 2 cells, which means this tip of the thermo has to be higher than 7. And it can't be. It can't be 8. It can't be 9. So this thermo is not an ascending thermo, which means that this thermo is an ascending thermo. So I need to somehow label this. I will label the bulb of the thermo red here and the bulb of the thermo yellow here. So this cell, which is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has to be at least 6. Oh, this is forced, because this can't be 9, apparently. So the only way this thermo works, given it's an ascending thermo, is a 6, 7, 8 triple. That's beautiful. So that's a 6, that's a 5. These squares are now known. They are 1, 8, and 9. These cells, therefore, must be known. They've got to be 2, 5, and 7. This is probably going to do some damage to these grey cells. And this cell is now a known cell as well. That's a 4, which means this is not a 4. Has that done the damage we need it to have done? I'm not sure. Possibly. This 7 is fixing the 7 up here. Sorry, simple sudoku. Oh, but this is a backwards thermo. Oh, but this is a real white dot though. So that square has to be 6 or an 8. It's got to be a 6. Doesn't do very much, I don't think. Although I'm hesitant to really claim that. Can I do anything better? So what do we need into this cell? This thermo is already broken because it's not ascending. So I don't think there is any pressure on this digit. So we've simply got to fill these cells in. 1s, 5s, and 8s are the options. And that can't be 8 because of this cell. So this is 1 or 5. And this is, I think, anything. Although I might be wrong about that, but I think it has got a lot of options. We've definitely got an 8 in one of these. In fact, we've definitely got an 8 in these 2 cells. Oh, there you go. That's it. You've definitely got an 8 in these 2 cells. You've definitely got an 8 in these 2 cells. So you can't have another 8 here. And in fact, you can't have an 8 there either. So this is now 1, 5 pair, which means that's the 8 in the box. So that's 8, that's 5. Is that doing something? That's not 5 anymore. Oh, it's still got both parities as possible. So that's probably not very intelligent. Okay. This cell is not a 1 by the use of our numbered room clue. Oh, you know what I didn't do that I probably ought to think about? No, okay. I was wondering whether I had to use the fact that there was 2 digits around this. But no, once I knock one of the digits off, I don't think I have to worry about the other digit. Because it's not true to say the other digit has to necessarily be around this 2 by 2, is it? I don't think it's true to say that anyway. Right, so we've got to do something else. And I wish I knew what that thing was. It could well be that I've missed any number of little constraints here. I know that this is 4, 2, 3. These seem to be... What about What about this column? Is that somehow restricted? I don't think so. I need 2, 4, 8, and 5. 2, 4, 5, and 8. Yeah, there's very little that we've got along these middle rows. A 3, 6 pair here. Is that somehow doing some work? 6 can't be there, I've just noticed, by sudoku. So I've and 6 can't be here by sudoku. So that's a 6. Maybe that's important. Of course it's not. It doesn't put 6 in one of those 2 cells. We'll fill that in and hope. Oh, I know what it is. Oh, that's very clever. Okay, you got me again. Right, what's that digit? And the answer is I haven't got a Scooby-Doo, but I can tell you it's definitely not even. 2, 4, 6, and 8 looking at it. So that's a liar. And that means it gets redded. And the other square clues are all true and have to be even, which means that's a 2. Because it's, oh, that means that's a 7 and that's a 5. Oh, for goodness sake. So that's a true clue. That's a circled clue that is odd. So we must make that yellow, I suppose. This is that's a 6 because it's got to be even. So that's a 3. Take 3's out of here. Has that done something good? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. This can't be a 1 because it's a real square clue. And that means that the 1 that goes around these 3 digits, look, has to be exactly there, which gives us a 1 and a 5 and a 3 and a 4, a 3 and a 2. Oh, here we go. Now we need 1, 6, and 8 into these cells. We need somethings, 2, 4, and 9 into those. And we know this is, we know that's real, so it's 2 or 4. It's not 1. We don't know about that one. We know this is definitely incorrect. In fact, look, those 3 digits now are 5, 7, and 9. Let's put that in. These 3 digits are 1, 3, and 6. Let's put that in. That's a naked single. 1 sees this 3, 6 pair. That fixes the 1 in the middle box, and that fixes the numbered room clue at the bottom, which we know is a true numbered room. So counting how many digits we move up, we must move 6. So that becomes a 4. That becomes a 2. That becomes a 6 using pencil marking. This 1 fixes the 1 and the 8. That becomes a 9. That becomes a 1. That becomes an 8. Oh, we've got to put 8 now. Well, what are these 2 digits? An 8, 9 pair. Well, I can see one thing that's doing, which is aligning these 9s. So you can't put 9 in either of those anymore. So that's got to be a 9. And we can probably do better. That's 9. So that's 9 and that's 4. And this 9 is on a circle again. So I've got to make that true. This 9 is on a circle and that's true. So this is beautiful. Okay, so we're sort of doing the logic backwards now, because we've actually proved this time that 3 of the circled clues are real, and we need one of them to be a liar. So that's now not able to be odd. So this is 2 or 4. Oh, no, it's not. Look, see 6, 8, and 4. It's 2. It's the only even digit that's available to it to force it to be a liar, which forces that to be 2, that to be 4, this to be 4, 5, 8, this to be something. My brain can't calculate it quickly enough. 3. That's 3, that's 6. This 1 is giving me the 1 and the 9. That fixes the 9 and the 8. That fixes the 5. Gives me a 4, 8 pair here. And this 5 is doing the 5 and the 7. I hope this is not going to result in some horrible deadly pattern that I can't figure out. But now we've got 4 and 5 there and a 5 here. So that's 5, that's 4, that's 4, that's 8, that's 8, that's 2, that's 2, that's 7. And I want to say that that is the puzzle solved. Let me just click tick, I suppose. Let's click tick. Yay! And let me just take a stare at this to see whether I think it looks... Have I applied a colour to every condition? This thermo is working. This thermo is not working. This white dot and this white dot both work. Oh, there must be a white dot that doesn't work. Where's that? There. Okay. The numbered room clues, we've got 2 working, 1 not working. That's working, that's working, that's not working. This is working. Wow, it's so clever, isn't it? It really is gorgeous. That's an exceptionally clever puzzle, Niverio. And to execute that with so much symmetry and sort of... I love the way that you could sort of work inwards. My favourite step was probably the hardest step, which is to do with this line not being able to be a 4, 5, 6 triple because it broke this arrow. And once you realise that, you realise there's something going on between those conditions, and you get this weird sort of X-wing pattern. I call it an X-wing, but you get this sort of on-off situation where you can't have the clues in box 1 both being on or both being off. And the same is true down here as a result. It's beautiful, really beautiful. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I do enjoy reading them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.